Stacy says, Dana, I still want to love my ex. I'm a gay woman. I can't stop talking to her. I don't want her. I don't want her or to be alone. I wish we could be together. And that right there is, I think, what a lot of people struggle with. It's incredibly painful, and it's a manipulation, and it's not real. And what's real is that it's a manipulation. And if she's toxic to you, then it's nothing healthy comes from a toxic situation. And I know it's hard, and especially if you're lonely and you don't want to be alone. There's a saying out there, it's called HALT. HALT. Before you make a decision, HALT. And which means stop, and you ask yourself, am I hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? Do not make decisions when you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. I think that's really good advice, because when we do, we don't make good decisions because we're not thinking clearly. And especially when we're lonely. That's why we tend to gravitate towards emotional manipulators, which is another name for a narcissist, because they can make us feel not lonely. They can make us feel really, really good. And it's a hard thing to break away from. So kind of a way to get around that is to go, I am a big fan of meetup.com, and there's a ton of different groups out there. I would encourage you to join a dozen. Anything that even looks remotely interesting, and maybe even like 3 or 4 that don't. And to get out there and start just doing fun things and meeting new people. I think once you can kind of nourish yourself to get rid of that loneliness, the cravings for her are going to start to diminish. It's really hard for us to get rid of things that are unhealthy for us if we don't have the added reassurance that we're going to get nourished in the near future. So like I was kind of using the example the other day in the other live stream about, again, like if we're really hungry, we're not going to make good decisions. I think we've all been there, right? You go to the grocery store, you've got a list. If you're hungry, you're going to just eat a bunch of sugar and fat and carbs, not because you don't have willpower, but it's because your body is screaming for nourishment. Your brain, everything functions on glucose. So it's going to scream for glucose. So if we're going to make poor decisions if we're hungry and go shopping, grocery shopping, we're going to make really poor decisions if we're starving and go grocery shopping, to the point where we might stop. If we haven't eaten in 5 days and you see a moldy sandwich sitting in the garbage can outside of a Subway, right, or outside of a Taco Bell or whatever, odds are you're probably going to pick it up and eat it. And that's why, because your body is screaming for nourishment. It's the same thing with dating. So if your body is screaming out that you're lonely, your mind is screaming out that you're lonely, it's really hard to walk away from a problematic person, because at some level they're still meeting your need. They're making you feel loved and significant and important, and there's affection and attention, and that can feel so amazing if you haven't had that in a while. But it doesn't make it the right thing to do. This is another reason. So a lot of people, when they get out of these relationships, if they don't realize that they're lonely and they think that the narcissist or the emotional manipulator is only the problem, like it's that person that's the problem, but they haven't turned inward and addressed their vulnerabilities, because it's really, remember what I was saying? The emotional manipulators, they don't manipulate people, they manipulate vulnerabilities, and we all have them. So it's important that we're all aware of what's going on with us, because our vulnerabilities are going to change as we change throughout life. So maybe, our vulnerability is that we're nearing 30 or 40 or 80, or maybe we just are recently widowed, or we recently moved to a new town or started a new job and we're lonely, we don't know anybody. or that we just filed for bankruptcy and we're scared. We're scared about money. We're feeling fearful, or our house is going into foreclosure and we're terrified. We don't know where we're going to live, or we're staying in a domestic violence shelter and we don't want to be there, and we don't want our kids to be there, and it's scary, and we're terrified of how we're going to make ends meet and how we're going to do this. All of those kinds of situations, and that's just a snippet, can make a person really, really vulnerable to where they're making decisions that they might not normally make. So it's, really important to not date at this time, her or anybody else, until you can really figure out what your vulnerabilities are and then get those resolved. And like loneliness, meetup.com, and it's amazing. Sometimes it doesn't take a lot to resolve that. It can be going out to dinner with a meetup group, one night a week. That the power in that it works. It's amazing. It's amazing how far social connection can really go for a person to help get rid of that loneliness. So, because she is not the solution. She really is not nobody else. Even if the most amazing person came into your life tomorrow, it's only prolonging you from dealing with this deeper issue of loneliness. So again, like if the most amazing person came into your life tomorrow, they're super healthy, well-adjusted, balanced, they're good to you, the whole nine. Let's say you date them for 20 years and it's amazing. If they die or if they leave, you're still going to have the same issue. And it's probably going to be a lot more intense, and that's kind of the codependent mindset. And that's what happens when we don't have our needs met. It's a normal thing for us to cling on to other people and to try to get that need met and to not want to let go. So, there's no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts to any of this. It's stuff that we've all got to deal with.
Lots of love to you guys. You are not alone. You are not crazy, and you really can move forward and heal from this.